With every live-action adaptation of an animated series we get, people end up becoming extremely worried as time goes on and we get closer to the product finally being released, because unfortunately a lot of them have been bad, but now we are finding out some very negative news about Netflix's live-action Avatar: The Last Airbender series, because they have announced they are actually toning down the sexism. I have a few things to show off, but before we get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, follow me on social media, and consider supporting through Patreon or via YouTube memberships. Now, it has been years in the making. Netflix has been planning this Avatar: The Last Airbender live-action series, and we've all been extremely worried about it, and there just has not been very good news surrounding it. And while the teasers and trailers have actually looked pretty decent, there's still a lot of red flags surrounding this series, like the creatives leaving. Avatar: The Last Airbender creators actually left this Netflix live-action series over creative differences, and as we are getting closer to release, we're finding out what those differences were, and they are very obvious now. Variety actually put up this tweet and article saying Netflix's live-action Avatar: The Last Airbender series is toning down the sexism. We took out the elements of how sexist Sokka is. I feel there were a lot of moments in the original that were iffy. Yeah, totally. There are things that were redirected just because it might play a little differently in the live action. And these are two of the actors, Katara's actor and Sokka's actors. And these two individuals went into this interview and straight up admitted that they took out elements of how sexist Sokka was, which is so insulting to fans. His jokes, in my opinion, were little more than humor, and he was always a big talker and would also talk down to male characters from time to time, less frequently than the females, but still, taking out the comments that Sokka made about women just makes them destroy his character arc of growing up and accepting powerful women in his life, like, of course, Katara. By the end of the series, he had a boatload of respect for her, where at the beginning he'd make jokes at her expense. These people do not understand this character and this series, and I think that this clip sums everything up perfectly. Sokka trains as a Kyoshi warrior. I mean, it is plain and simply all you need to see to understand that there are characters, female characters, who do not like him because, yes, he would make jokes at their expense, but then he has to grow and he has to learn about himself, about these people, and part of his arc, a big part of his arc, is learning humility. This is just one of the many clips, but this is, I think, the most prominent, at least for me, when I heard that they were removing the sexism.
I would be honored if you would teach me.
Even if I'm a girl?
See, this character remembers his quips in the past, but he has to apologize and he has to admit his wrong, and he has to admit that yes, he has grown, and he has to prove to the audience that he has grown. This is amazing character development right here.
I'm sorry if I insulted you earlier.
See, he straight up apologizes. I'm sorry if I insulted you earlier, but I need your help, I need your guidance, and I need you to forgive me and move past this.
I was wrong.
We normally don't teach outsiders, let alone boys.
Please make an exception. I won't let you down.
All right. But you have to follow all of our traditions.
I mean, this was a very wholesome part of this series, something that you learn, something that he learns, and we can visibly see his character growth. And to remove these types of jokes, to remove these types of quips, and to remove this part of the character, all you are doing is watering down content for nobody. Of course, they're going to say, well, we're trying to also have this appeal to younger audiences. Younger audiences watched Avatar: The Last Airbender series when it came out originally, never mind this live action. And those people, of course, like me, are all grown up now, and we are going to watch this. You need this type of humor in order to get his character arc across. And again, reminder, the creators actually decided to leave this series over creative differences. And of course, whenever we get these live action adaptations of anime, a lot of them turn out to be very bad, but the ones that have been more successful, like One Piece, have had the original creators working very closely with the actors, with the writers, with the creatives, trying to give their input. And yeah, I mean, that turned out to be pretty great. But, of course, when you see this, that the creators do not want anything to do with an adaptation like this, you know it's going to be bad. Now, of course, Netflix and their creatives are getting absolutely destroyed on social media by people who are genuinely upset with this change, also getting rid of a major character arc that shows he is growing up. The cartoon is going to have better characters than this garbage, but we're going to have people insist this is more grown up because Zuko says the F word. Damn, studios are terrified to even have character development now. It is over. I now understand why the Avatar creators left the show. This is so unnecessary and very disappointing. I do not see a singular comment of somebody accepting this and saying that this is a positive change, that this is a good change. Every single person is saying that this is the most disappointing change that you could make to the entirety of this character. And out of your 3 lead characters, I mean, everybody's so disappointed. And again, why would this series be so highly regarded if people were so offended by this? Why would millions of men and women love this series if its characters were seen as just hollow sexist people? Like, clearly, these, people, at Netflix do not understand the content that they're working with. I mean, critics gave the Avatar: The Last Airbender a 100% and audiences a 98%. You can't get really much better than that. Those are near perfect, flawless scores because every character had an arc and every character said things that eventually came back to bite them in the ass, and they would grow from. That's just how character development goes, and to know that they are straight up removing that now is disappointing. And of course, who did they listen to? Who said that they needed to make these changes to Sokka's character? Well, Redditors. As the Variety article says, the creatives actually looked online to see what the general response is after they had watched it. And they found some Reddit threads like this, saying, considering how misogynistic Sokka was in the first few episodes of the series, it's quite funny to think he won over the hearts of some of the most powerful women of his time. Yes, because they saw his character development, but apparently these creatives cannot. And there are surprisingly a ton of deleted accounts on this thread, but they basically just say that, I think it's because no one can actually take him seriously in most instances, so a lot of the female characters moved past that. But it doesn't matter. Regardless, there are threads talking about Sokka's misogyny, and this is actually what they referenced when they were coming up with scripts and deciding what was going to make the final cut and what they were going to end up editing out. It is just so sad to see this happen. I know a lot of the teasers and trailers have actually been pretty positively received, but I definitely think that after hearing this and all of the other information we've gotten surrounding this series, people are much more skeptical, and of course people are extremely upset that this happened. People are extremely upset that they are completely throwing away part of this character arc to be more sensitive and of course appeal to modern audiences. It's just a pathetic decision that they've made that I definitely think is going to come back and bite them in the butt. I do not think that this is going to go over well with people, and honestly at this point I don't think that this series is going to go over that positively with fans of Avatar: The Last Airbender. I think that they might get a general audience who doesn't understand the lore and the backstory, but I think the people who actually have watched the anime and actually loved and respected these characters are going to be heartily disappointed with they've created here. It does come out in just a couple of weeks, so it will be interesting to see what people say about it, but for now, that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comments section down below. If you enjoyed this and of course found it important and informative, make sure to give it a like, share it, and subscribe to the channel, and of course if you didn't, make sure to give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I will talk to you all again in the next video really soon.